Hello, everyone. This is Susan, and this is Horizon Professional Services, and it is the Voice for Freedom podcast. I have a guest with me today, Nancy Harrison. She's got something very special that we want to go over today that you're going to want to know about. And the idea is to test, don't guess, and why personalized nutrition matters more than ever. Now, you might think that since you feel well, that everything is okay. But what if it's not? So today we're talking about something that challenges the way many of us think about nutrition, and that includes me. We hear so much advice online, but how do we know what actually happens inside our own bodies? Now, I'm a nurse, so I've dealt with a lot of this with patients, and it's been worrying a lot of times because I know the patient isn't eating well and isn't eating right, or they tell me they're fine, and I know good and well they're not. So Nancy and I have something that she wants to share with all of you that will maybe make you stop and think about your nutrition and how you think you might be well and everything's okay, but what if it's not? Everything is okay. I learned the hard way. I learned a few months ago actually, that I was not okay. And I'm now starting to get well, get back on my feet. So I'm going to let her kind of take over here and let her describe kind of what she does and how she wants to help you guys that might need to know a little bit more about nutrition and about what's going on in your body so you can catch it before it becomes a major problem. So, because that can happen. It's happened to me already twice. And I didn't know that what was going on with me was as serious as it was, but it was finally caught and I'm getting better now. And I would like to make sure any of you out there, if you say that you're fine, you're fine. Well, again, as I said, what if you're not? So let's find out and dig a little deep into this thing and see if we can help you find out whether or not you could use some help. So Nancy, take it away.
Oh, thanks, Susan. I really appreciate you having me on today and being able to share this information because I didn't know these things less than 2 years ago. It has really opened up my eyes, and it's why I love to say test, don't guess. And I usually have my t-shirt on that says that. It says test, don't guess. And, as a people, we spend thousands fixing problems after they happen. But so very few of us actually measure whether our body's getting what it needs before those problems develop. That preventive thing, you know, um, and I'm passionate about that because I don't want to be sick. I've had too many illnesses take people out of my life. I don't want that for those that I love and people that I'm around, and nobody should. That's why I'm so passionate. And I literally did not know and was so glad to learn that many people believe they're eating healthy. I thought I was fairly a healthy eating person, but I didn't know anything about my omega balance and how important it was to the body. So I discovered that, and by doing my own test, and I found out that for your body to be in balance and for it to work the way it's supposed to, you should have a 3-to-1 omega balance. That means no more than 3 omega 6s to every omega 3 that's in your body. My first test was 25-to-1. That's crazy. I realized, and I can't tell people to be, someone that they're healthy just because, we can't say that we're healthy just because we feel like we're okay. You got to have data. You got to know. That's why we go to the doctors, right? You know, and because the doctors they test your cholesterol numbers and your blood pressure and your blood sugar and your vitamin D. Why do we do those tests? Because everybody's different, right? So everybody's body sets the food that they eat differently, and we're all eating different things. So all those things are different in our body. So why would we assume everyone has the same fatty acid balance? You wouldn't take an insulin because your neighbor needs insulin, would you? No, of course not. So real quick, you've got your omega-6 and you got your omega-3s, and they're both essential to the body, but the body doesn't make them. Like your bones create the red blood cells. The sun is through your skin is creating your vitamin D. Different parts of our body are creating things. Well, our body does not create our omega-6 and omega-3s. We have to get it through either what we eat or through supplementation. Well, the omega-6s are good because they create inflammation, and we need that inflammation in order to heal. But the inflammation also goes into the brain, it goes into the heart and the immune system, and it's not really good for all of those areas. So, or the immune system, we've got to get something to hold those omega-6s down if we've got too many, and that's the omega-3s, and that's just the way that it works. I'm not making any medical claims. It's just omega-6s are inflammation, omega-3s are the calming. So they're not inflamed. So research continues to show that the balance between omega-6 and omega-3 is associated with many aspects of long-term health. Talking long-term. So preventive medicine is basically what we're saying. I call it medicine, but it's not really. It's just having the nutrition in your body. Okay. So when I say test, don't guess, this is so simple. You don't have to go to a doctor's office. You do a finger prick. You put it on a piece of paper, which is called a dried blood spot. It's sent to an independent lab that is not associated with anything. So, this is for you. This is not for the world. Okay. As far as what your results are, the only parameters that they want to know is, what gender are you, how old you are, and what zip code you live in. So they can say, we have X amount of these people with this going on that are this. So that there can be a study done on that. So we need a little bit of information, but we don't care if that's Joe Smith or if it's Nancy Harrison. It doesn't matter. So this is not. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so how do we get get those two omegas in there? And what are they basically? I mean, it's an oil, but.
That's a great question, because the majority of the food that we eat actually contains the omega-6. There's the few foods that contain the omega-3s are like fatty, wild caught fish. Walnuts have omega-3s, chia seeds, those are the things that have the omega-3s. And are those things that we really eat on a regular basis? Not most of them. We eat a little bit of, maybe a little. How often do you eat walnuts? I maybe eat them. It's just not something that's on my diet,
Yeah.
And I've had to, I try to throw them in there, and as well as like chia seeds, and chia seeds are good, but they're not enough. Unfortunately, they're not enough to balance all the bombardment of the omega-6s that we're getting. Literally, it's been explained that out of every $100 that you're spending at the grocery store, $99 of that grocery bill is giving you omega-6s, and just $1 is giving you your omega-3s. That's not a good balance. Okay.
So if that gets out of balance, then that can cause illness because the body's trying to fight whatever it's trying to fight.
Exactly. Because you've got so much inflammation, and we hear it all the time. It's been proven. It was a big report was in the National Geographic on how inflammation causes our chronic disease.
Right.
And that inflammation is coming from having too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3 to quelch that omega-6 down.
And
And
now
go ahead.
the video that I saw that you sent to me, he was a doctor, is that correct? The one that did the
Yes, ma'am.
video?
He's a
Okay.
scientific doctor. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He's a
And
researcher.
the way what really surprised me about that video, shocked me is more like it, is that
Mm-hmm.
he claims that anybody needs, everybody really needs the balance oil that he was talking about, because it has the omega-6 and omega-3s in it. And even kids
Mm-hmm.
can take it to help keep them in balance. Pregnant women can
Mm-hmm.
take it to keep them in balance. So as he said that
Mm-hmm.
during pregnancy, the fetus will take away the essentials from the mother. It drains
Mm-hmm.
her. It actually
Mm-hmm.
makes her brain smaller because the
Mm-hmm.
baby is pulling those
Right.
essential things that it wants, and the mother doesn't get to keep, which
To
can
create a
cause,
healthy baby. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that also can cause postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know
Absolutely.
that's one of the things that can cause that. So that's why even
Yeah.
pregnant women can take this balanced oil that has the omega-3s and omega-6 in it.
And the great thing from what I've seen, I've not seen anything to say yes or no, but I do believe that you can omegas. It's to me, I look at it as if you can eat a fatty fish, then you can take our omegas. And what makes the omega that we have that we recommend is because it's the only one that has been established that has put together a polyphenol with the fatty acid in order to help it attach to the cell. All other fish oils on the market today do not have a polyphenol attached to it, and therefore it literally just runs through the body. It doesn't attach to the cell, and if it's not attaching to the cell, it's not working. Okay, it needs to attach to the cell, and that's why we use the olive oil, and we actually process the olives all the way from coming from the tree to putting it in the balance oil, and that's why it's called a balance oil. It's not called a fish oil because it is balanced in order for the cell to take it. Okay, so that's and you already take fish oil. Great. I just tested somebody a few weeks ago. They just got their test back, and they've been taking a fish oil for a long time, and they came back at 29-1. So obviously that fish oil wasn't working. So now we can, and that's why we test and not guess. We get to a baseline before we offer you the balance oil, and if you want to test it after 4 months, it takes 120 days for your cells to regenerate. After 120 days, we retest you, and you may not be in that perfect spot yet, but you'll be much closer to it, because it takes a while for your whole body to get all of that going the right way.
Yeah, there's also somebody that I think I mentioned to you once before. There's someone that I also network with. He's in biotech, and he has the way of doing his own check, his own scan is what he does. He scanned me
Right.
several months
Yeah.
ago, and I already knew that the results that came back were correct because I'd had so many scans on everything else. But if anyone wants to know how they can know what their cells are doing, they can go to him. It's Dr. Harvey Lumstein.
Right.
That's specifically what he does, and he can tell by the cells, like you're talking, when the cells have to be healthy for the body to be healthy, and he can actually see those cells, what's going on with those cells. He checks it from the brain down to the feet. He does a scan over the computer with the camera. I was shocked
Yeah.
because my scan
Yeah.
came back.
I look forward to speaking with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's I
That's
wish I
gonna
could
be great.
I even had the scan that he did on me. I got it on my computer. I didn't pull it up. I probably should have. But he was able to tell me things that where I was out of balance and all this. He gave me things to take, which I had to get cleared with my doctor, which I did last week. But
Right.
this is something, what you do and what he does are collaborative. They work together
Yes.
because he can see the cells.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I mean, there's more things that are working in your body than just omegas. It's just that the omega is the core to let everything else work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, I was
And
surprised that he could.
some of those things need help in other ways too, just like you said, the way he's looking at it too. And it's something else could be off that you need to fix along with the omegas.
I'll be interesting. It's be interesting to see what my test comes back to be.
I know. I can't wait. It's going to be 3 weeks.
Now
I got
Nancy
it in the
tested
mail.
he tested me on Saturday, I think. It's a simple
Yes.
test. It's
Yes.
just like it's a finger stick.
Hmm.
But it's like if you're diabetic and you check your sugar, it's just kind of the same thing, but it just goes onto a card.
And you know, we actually have the A1C test for diabetics as well. If you want to do that outside of going to the doctor, we also do the vitamin D test, which is, I didn't realize how being in the right measurement of vitamin D, how important that is. I really didn't understand. You know, we don't understand how important it is to really have that great balance of all those vitamins in our body.
Well, I also realized something too that didn't hit me until I guess yesterday. Because I used to be in insurance, and people say they're healthy, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to get insurance because they're healthy. But that's the time to get it, because if your body is out of
Right.
balance,
Yeah.
and if it's enough out of balance where you're going to start getting sick, which it can
Mm-hmm.
cause because you're out of balance, then that
Mm-hmm.
means if they knew what that number was, they would know
Mm-hmm.
for sure that they've got something coming up. Because if they're out of
Yeah.
balance, that means they may have something coming up that they don't know about. Just like with me,
Right.
I didn't know about
Right.
it until 3 months ago when I
Yeah.
found out what it was. I have sleep apnea. In case y'all want to know, I was
Okay.
diagnosed with sleep apnea about 3 months ago, and I had it pretty
Okay.
bad, and I didn't
Yeah.
know what it was. I thought it was a virus, and it wasn't, and it was kicking my butt. And so I was,
I'll,
several
okay.
things that were going on that I thought people say that they tell me all the time because I'm a nurse. They tell me, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine." And the
Yeah.
next thing I know, they're in the hospital. I'm like, "Well, you must have been fine, huh?"
Yeah.
So
And that's the thing, is that all things are going on in our body that we don't know. It's just like driving your car. You know, if you're not changing the oil on a regular basis and paying attention, then the car's going to break down. Well, we're eating our regular things that we don't know that it's the right things, and we're not testing. You know, you go in and every so many months and have your car tested to see if it needs this or that. Why aren't we doing it for ourselves? And the thing
mm,
is, though, is that the doctors are not trained in nutrition, which doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, that's why I'll be going on my diet before long because of my situation. And I noticed that they do a lot of testing, the tests they do on me, everything except the ones that I'm thinking, what, A1C. They did it on my
Hmm.
husband, none on me. And he turned out to be pre-diabetic. And I'm like, well, am I?
Yeah,
So
right. How
it's
do you
like,
know?
I
Yeah.
wish that they would do more tests like these that will cover
Yeah.
pretty much everything. But um, how do we transition then? Why would we assume that everyone has the same fatty acid balance?
Right. Well, we shouldn't assume.
Yeah,
That's why we test and not guess, you know. And you know, people are really surprised at the results. I can't tell you how many people that are living their lives the holistically, we're going to say naturalistic way. You know, they know they'll do the test just to prove to you that they're okay, and their tests come back. It may be a 7-to-1 or a 9-to-1, but it's not a 1-to-1 unless you're in a blue zone. And there's very few of those blue zone pockets in the world, you know, where literally you do not have access to the processed foods that we have today. And that's that's the downfall of the world, truthfully, is because of the dollar and processed food. You know, we're growing and they're processing our food in order to feed more of us, but it's also what they're doing to the food is creating these diseases.
Well, that's what bothers me about meat, especially because if when they're
Mm-hmm.
injecting cattle with antibiotics, I'm not sure why they do that. I know there's a reason, but I don't know. I don't remember what it is. But then
Mm-hmm.
when someone is actually allergic to what the cattle is being injected with, that's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna help that person eating the meat.
Right.
So
Right.
I think some places are trying to stop doing that now because of the antibiotic situation. But I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, the pharmaceuticals aren't in our best interest sometimes.
Well,
So
I have yet to see a pharmaceutical that doesn't have a bad side effect associated with it.
mm,
Not that everybody has that side effect, but what pharmaceutical have I've never seen a pharmaceutical that didn't say could do. You know
so
that's what bothers me with most pharmaceuticals. They have their place. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying we need to be more cautious.
yes, and I know that research continues to show that the balance between omega-6 and omega-3 is associated with many aspects of long-term health. It
Mm-hmm.
helps you stay healthy, helps you keep your body where your body's working like it should.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now I know you can do finger sticks. You can do it's a dry blood spot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about selling everyone the same supplement. It's about first finding out whether there's actually something that needs improving. I
Mm-hmm.
bet you most people need improving. Anyone watching this is probably going to know they need improving, just don't know it.
Yeah. So if anybody wants more information or wants to get tested, love to help you do that because you know um, the doctors don't do this type of test, and
They
the
don't.
number one
Yeah.
reason they don't is because insurance doesn't pay for it. And even though most doctors know that it's an important number, but if they know anything about it, but again, if insurance isn't gonna pay, most doctors are assuming that you don't want something done that insurance isn't going to pay for. Well, I think they need to be asking us, do we want something done, or we need to figure out a way to have it done, because it's an important number.
Okay.
Prevention is the key.
Yeah. The thing of it is just like that doctor. I can't think of his name though. Um, he was saying that it's so much easier to prevent it than it is to have to go and treat it. It's
Right.
just so
Dr.
much
Paul
easier to do
Clayton
that.
was, yeah,
Oh, okay,
Dr. Paul
Dr. Paul
Clayton.
Clayton. Okay.
Yeah, Paul
If
Clayton.
if anyone, if you've never heard, like I had not until she brought it up a while back, if you've never heard of anything like this, there is a video on YouTube that you can go to and look up. It's Balance Oil. That's what it's called. I
Mm-hmm.
believe the name of it. You really need to go and look at that video because that's going to explain a lot to you about what we're talking about, because that's where I learned quite a bit from that. Um, I'm pretty sure I'm out of balance. I'll find out in a few weeks, I guess.
Yeah, it takes 3 weeks to get the results back. That video on YouTube is by Dr. Paul Clayton, and it's called Omega-3 Testing and Balance Oil for All Ages.
And when he says all ages, he means all ages. And he goes
From
through that
conception
step by
on.
step. Yes, from conception on. He goes to I wouldn't say it's a long video, but it's a very informative
It's like
video. He's
30
got
minutes. Yeah.
doctors in the audience too. So
Yeah.
I think that was a webinar he was doing, a seminar.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Actually, it was. And Dr. Clayton does not like to promote products. He's all about just what the right nutrition and putting in your body is, and doing that. So in the beginning, he talked about that Hildy, who is the founder of Zenzino's wife, asked him to talk on this, and that's the only reason he's talking in the way that he is, promoting the balance oil, because he knows I mean, he's on our board of directors. He's the scientific board director, and so he knows what he's talking about. But if he's talking to you about your nutrition and about what's going on in the body and stuff like that, and you say, well, what would work for that? And he's like, no, we're not talking about products. We're talking about this is this is what's going on. And I love that. I love that because we're not here. Yes, I do have products and that help your body, but we're here to make sure that you are healthy and that we can try to keep you that way.
Yeah, we're here to try to help you understand that you, just like I thought I was doing really good until it began. I
Yeah.
found out the hard way it wasn't going really good. Luckily they caught it in time, but it's sleep apnea is nothing fun to deal with. If any of you watching have sleep apnea, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, it brings you down really hard and fast. And I caught myself a couple of times not breathing, and I woke up not breathing. And so it's just something that you need to be aware of how this works. And if you want to watch that video, it'll explain in detail what we're talking about, how important it is. So do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do you a favor, and watch it, learn from it, and see why it is important to know about this and to do something about it, even though you think you're healthy. Like I thought I was. Well, I'm healthy, but I'm just got things I've got to fix. And
Right.
so help your body out. Just because you think you're well doesn't mean you are.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Miss Susan, for having me on today. And I hope that this has been helpful and that if anybody can get back with you and you can get them in touch with me, I appreciate it.
Oh, will do. So if anyone wants to get tested, and she has those tests, let us know either on YouTube or you can go to Buzzsprout too. Mine's on Buzzsprout and at LVN Hub. LVN Hub, I believe it's the name of it, because I haven't been on there for a while. But or either here on YouTube. Reach out to me and I will reach out to her and get you in touch with her. Get tested because it's best that you do to make sure you are healthy and keep you healthy. That's what we want to do is we want to keep you healthy. Not get you there, but keep you there. So that's all for now.
Susan.
And thanks for joining me, Nancy. It's been enjoyable and it's been informative. So for now, everybody, that's it for now. And I'll be back with other news later on this week. Goodbye for now.
Thanks.